From our perspective, looks at the lives and behaviors of millennials, Generation Z, and the changes that are happening in our 21st century and the innovators that are making it happen. We will explore trends, technology, music, fashion, social media, business, science, the arts, faith, and lifestyle. So come join us on Comcast, Verizon, and online.
The world we live in today is far different than that of the generations before us. Technology has contributed significantly to this fast-paced microwave lifestyle that is the 21st century. Millennials and Generation Z are a generation whose lives were significantly formed by technology. Social media, smartphones, artificial intelligence, robots, and autonomous vehicles have all become part of our everyday lexicon. Among Generation Z, YouTube, Instagram, and Snapchat have become the main sources from which information is posted and retrieved, and handheld devices such as tablets and smartphones are the main forms through which Generation Z communicate. Millennials, also known as Generation Y, echo boomers, digital natives, or the boomerang generation, are the offspring of baby boomers. They came of age as the entertainment industry was transformed by the internet, computers, and video games. They pay greater emphasis on work-life balance than their predecessors and place emphasis in producing meaningful work and finding creative outlets. They are not satisfied with remaining for long periods of time on the same job and choose a less predictable career path. In today's episode, we will witness a growing trend among millennials and Generation Z as it relates to career choices.
Hello, my name is Anthony Barnes II, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my career choice. That is, as an up-and-coming fight director. Any movie or TV show you see where two people engage in combat has to be orchestrated by someone. It's not like fights you see in the real world that are sloppy and clumsy and misguided, but these are meticulously planned out and carried out by the actors. The fight director's job is to work with the director to create fight scenes which not only drive the plot, but also reveal things about the characters. What I love most about this field is that it allows a person to express themselves in so many different ways, and yet still, at the end of the day, they're fighting someone. When I was in drama school, one thing that I remember most definitely was the idea that every character is fighting for something, even if they're not actually fighting. And the same principle applies in a fight scene. Some are fighting for survival, some for love, some for loyalty, and some for an ideal. In 10 years, I would like to be a master of at least one martial art while training in several others. At the same time, I'd like to be working on creating my own cinematic material, whether it be movies, TV shows, or anything else that calls for my kind of work. I love how different cultures allow people to explore different ways of movement that all are centered around defending oneself or fighting for something they believe in. In addition, one of my favorite films, John Wick, allowed the directors to actually create what was essentially a new martial art that had never been seen before. That's what I want to be able to do. Through immense training, I'm sure I would be able to create the next John Wick. or the next big phenomenon in cinema. One of the amazing things about this field in particular is the fact that one has to have immense imagination. One of the best examples of that is what we do with our superheroes. They have different weapons, and so they have to fight in drastically different ways, many of which no one has ever seen before. In the first film of the John Wick franchise, there's a tattoo in Latin on John Wick's back. It's a mantra which I believe embodies people who go down the road that I've chosen. It translates into "Fortune favors the bold." I believe it's something that everyone who does what I do believes. What we do is difficult, and it doesn't always make us rich, but we love it. When I was a kid, I loved swords, and that turned into a passion for how they were wielded and why. Eventually, that turned into why people did things the way they did on screen as opposed to in real life, and I knew which way I wanted to go afterwards. I broke into the industry when I was in drama school in college. Although there weren't a lot of opportunities, I kept searching and I got in touch with people. Today I understand that a lot of what goes into building a fight scene is the weapons. A certain character may have a certain weapon that defines them, or they may grab whatever is at hand. But the bottom line is, if you have a sword, you're not going to fight as though you have an axe.
Generation Z, a generation not following cultural norms but creating our own path geared to embrace the technology and innovations that are continuing to evolve around us each and every day. As a teenager in this generation, I see that my peers are beginning to be attracted to jobs that obtain quick money, quick fortune, and quick fame with a lot of influence. Traction towards traditional jobs are becoming less and less. Not completely abandoning the idea of being a lawyer or a doctor, but approaching those fields in a more innovative way, such as specializing in criminal activity as seen in TV productions like NCIS or Hawaii Five-0. Generation Z is also interested in following our passions and doing what makes us happy. The increased exposure of celebrities' lives and everyone else's lives through social media has made a lavish lifestyle seem like it can be acquired through a snap of a photo or hundreds of thousands of retweets on a tweet. Along with that, the exploitation of social issues has also sparked serious passion in my generation, demanding change and demanding it immediately. YouTubers, DJs, rappers, producers, photographers, makeup artists, hairdressers, social media influencers, and more are starting to emerge. Each individual captivating the audience of their peers and beyond, doing what they love most, pursuing their passion. Fashion, athletics, skincare, and philanthropy, Generation Z is formulating a unique generation of occupations, all saying no to conformity and yes to inclusion and diversity. Generation Z is a generation filled with strong-willed, innovative thinkers ready to embrace the world that is ever-changing and make it their own.
I've always been interested in art. I think when I was younger, I thought I wanted to be a scientist. But then I went to this, now I'm in Roosevelt and this science and tech program, and I'm realizing I really don't like science as much as I thought I did. Like, it's great, and it challenges me to think, and I was really interested in physics and the human body anatomy, and I really thought, maybe I want to be a pharmacist, because I really like medicine. I like the idea of making something that can help someone else feel better. And I just thought the human body was really interesting. But God has given me a talent for art. And whenever I'm by myself, I find myself doing that more than anything else, and just wanting to draw, wanting to make comics and things. And so I think that I'm going to be moving into animation, into being an artist. and I really think that that's what I'm supposed to do. I think it's more important to have a career that I really like versus something that just gets the bills paid. I've always really thought about how that works out versus, just doing something that you can do that's easy to do versus doing something that could be more difficult because you can't really see how it's going to work out. I think I really wanted to do something in science and tech because I know that there's jobs for people who are in science and tech. There's a future for people who are in science and tech because we need people who can do math and can have technology because technology is the future. But at the same time, I know that I want to do what God has called me to do, and that may not necessarily be what it is, And this animation thing that I want to do, this artistry thing that I want to do, I'm kind of afraid to move into it because I know that there's a lot of competition and just like singers, sometimes you go up, but then not everyone wants your product, so then it goes down. So it's really not set in stone. I definitely can see myself working really hard towards it, but it's a very, there's no biz like showbiz. It goes up, you win some, you lose some, and I'm just trusting in God for that to show me the way. I know I want to go to college, and I think I want to get a master's degree in animation or something, and then I'll see where it goes from there.
Elena? Are you in there? Elena?
Miss Mary, you may see Elena now. She's still unconscious, but medication was given to counteract the effects of the drugs she took. She'll be just fine.
Elena, I don't know if you can hear me, sweetheart. I can't do this anymore. You can't keep pretending nothing's wrong, and I can't keep pretending I don't know. But I'll save that for when you wake up.
Hi, my name is Grace. Do you have cancer too? It's okay. My mommy says God knows it hurts, and she said He will take our pain away if we let Him. Come on, I'll show you. See? This is the prayer I wrote for you.
Grace, sweetie, I was looking all over for you. Come on, you need to go back to your room.
Okay.
I take it she wasn't really bothering you? You know, she's going home today. That sweet little girl is cancer-free. Her doctor's just about to give her and her parents the news.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to From Our Perspective. We just did a run of a clip, which is going to be our new anime. And we had the three characters, Miss Mary, Elena, and the nurse. And we're going to talk about those characters in more detail. And we're going to start with the question of abuse. You know, this is a very touchy subject. You know, I being the character of Miss Mary, who is an older woman who came in and saw Elena in distress, her boyfriend beating her. You know, these are things that we see and we hear about every day. What do you think as your character, both you, the nurse, Lita, who played the nurse, and Anaya, who played the young cancer victim, and of course our narrator here is Anthony. What are your feelings about abuse, and why do you think Elena, our character, and so many other young ladies stay in such a situation for such a long time?
Well, with Elena, I believe she stayed with her abusive boyfriend for so long because with a lot of abuse victims, they stay with the person that's abusing them because it's a way to seek some type of validation, and they may feel lacking in some area of their life, some emptiness that the abuse that the person is giving to them sort of fills that void. And I believe with Elena that her boyfriend, in some way, there is that void filled, you know, with her boyfriend, and maybe he made her feel beautiful. You know, that's the way it is with many abuse victims. They feel some type of a person that's abusing them, fills the void. So So yeah.
That's an interesting intake, and I've heard that before from abused individuals, and then they feel sort of like they can't get out of the situation and they've gotten accustomed to it. But I'm going to ask Anthony, who's our narrator in this anime, from a male perspective. You know, we say that it's usually the men that abuse, but there are women who abuse men on both sides. But what do you feel from a man's perspective as to why do you think men tend to be abusive?
Well, I would say that a lot of times security comes into it on both sides, but particularly from a male perspective, there's the security of the relationship. Oftentimes, in the same way a woman gets validation from a man gets a certain kind of validation from that he receives from being with this woman. And if the relationship that he has with her feels threatened, depending on the type of man we're dealing with here, that can result in abuse. It can result in insecurity on his part, and self-doubt. And if the man in question doesn't know how to deal with those feelings, and isn't, well, a term my father likes to use, if he has no root in himself, then he can only do damage to the world outside him.
It's a sort of a control mechanism.
Yes.
Nearly 1.5 million high school students nationwide experience physical abuse from a dating partner in a single year. 1 in 3 girls in the US is a victim of physical, emotional, or verbal abuse from a dating partner, a figure that far exceeds rates of other types of youth violence. 1 in 10 high school students have been purposefully hit, slapped, or physically hurt by a boyfriend or girlfriend. Only 33% of teens who were in an abusive relationship ever told anyone about the abuse. Eighty-one percent of parents believe teen dating violence is not an issue, or admit they don't know it's an issue. Roughly 1.5 million US high school boys and girls admit to being hit or physically harmed in the last year by someone they are romantically involved with. Teens who suffer dating abuse are subject to long-term consequences like alcoholism, eating disorders, promiscuity, thoughts of suicide, and violence behavior. 1 in 3 young people will be in an abusive or unhealthy relationship. 33% of adolescents in America are victim to sexual, physical, verbal, or emotional dating abuse. 50% of young people who experience rape or physical or sexual abuse will attempt to commit suicide. 55% of female students and 75% of male students involved in acquaintance rape admit to having been drinking or using drugs when the incident occurred. Over the course of an average 5-year college career, between 20 and 25% of women students are raped. Fewer than 5 in 100 rapes are reported.
heart can no longer feel. When all my luck has fallen through, I will always look to you. No matter where the sun may fall, however high the rising wall, I'll look to you. I'll always look to you. Whenever there's a constant bleed, whenever there's a friend in need, when all the options have fallen through, I will always look to you. No matter where the sun may fall, however high the rising wall, I'll look to you. I'll always look to you, and I will always look to you, and I will look to you.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Thanks for hearing me out, bro.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. So if you want to talk to your kids, you have to get it trending. Can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.